Please welcome the great Ian McKellen.
How are you? Nice to see you. Thank you.
Wow.
Well, that looks like a good film, doesn't it?
You going to go see it?
Do you know, there's one bad omission there. There are two trailers, and this is the one for the United Kingdom, where we are now. It doesn't mention Laura Linney, who is playing a considerable, wonderful part and brilliantly done. Of course, if you watch the American trailer, which I think you can see on YouTube, you'll find that she features pretty heavily in that. So there we are. That's my little complaint or observation.
And she's rather good. She's rather good.
You've seen it, have you?
I have seen it, yes.
Yeah.
That's a very tricky accent she's pulling off.
I know.
Movie,
yes, she's wonderful.
But you yourself, you're playing Sherlock Holmes.
Yes.
The great detective. But as I said before, it's a Sherlock we've never really seen before. Can you tell us more about this iteration of the character?
Yeah, it's a nice idea that Sherlock Holmes was a real person. Of course, he's fictional, but everyone has the impression that Sherlock Holmes really did exist. And after all, there's a statue to him in London, and people go around what they think was his home in Baker Street. And so this film picks up on that idea that he's a real person, and that his complaint is that Dr. Watson, who wrote the stories about him, had got him wrong and had rather distorted the reality. And Holmes is looking back on his life, aged 93. He's in retirement in the south coast of the United Kingdom and living with bees and his housekeeper, Laura Linney, and remembering or trying to remember what it was about that case 30 years ago that stopped him being a detective. And when he felt he had to retire, something deeply disturbing, and he can't work out what it is. And so that's part of his decline as an old man. But the story of the film is really how he wrestles with the past and reveals to us that Sherlock Holmes is perhaps a rather nicer, more humane person than we'd realised.
And did you have a burning desire throughout your career to play Sherlock Holmes? Is this something that you wanted to do on the old bucket list?
No, I like you all, I've seen lots of people play Sherlock Holmes. I mean, before the current batch. Oh, Cumberbatch, I hadn't thought of that. Yes, John Gielgud, who was a big hero of mine when I was growing up, the classical actor. If you know what he looks like, you'll be amused, because I look really like him playing the younger Holmes. He did a lot of Sherlock Holmes on the radio, some of his worst performances ever. But on the whole, Sherlock Holmes brings out the best in actors. My favourite was Jeremy Brett.
Yes.
You're too old, well, you remember those, but wonderful, yeah. Wonderful, worth looking up. The classic Holmes, the Conan Doyle Holmes, and the rest, Robert Downey and Benedict and I are variations on Holmes, I suppose.
But yours is 93.
93 years old,
93
yeah.
years old. You are not 93. You just
I'm
turned
not.
76 yesterday. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Does anyone have a cake for Ian?
I had a cake yesterday, and it had 76 candles on it. There was very little cake. And I was sad that I couldn't blow them all out. Oh, dear. That's how you know you're getting old, when you can't blow out all your candles.
You have to have 3 goes.
Yeah.
But this is the 93-year-old Holmes.
Yes.
What's the way into playing a 93-year-old? What sort of research do you have to do?
Research? Well, your own body, really. I mean, you just think of those aches and pains, and that, you know, sometimes you wake up with a pain there, and something's wrong. Well, and there you are, you see, you're sort of walking like a 93-year-old man without really thinking about it. Well, the makeup, Dave Elsey, who's a brilliant makeup artist, he and his wife painted my face with this rubbery solution, and when it dried, it all wrinkled up, and there I was looking like that. And once I saw that image, it was the same with Gandalf. When we finally got the beard right and the wig right, and I looked and I saw Gandalf in the mirror, and I saw Sherlock Holmes in the mirror, then, or an old man in the mirror.
Yes.
DNA does the rest. You know, if you're if you got the face right, you can somehow get the body right, and you can somehow get the voice right, and you can somehow get the movement right, and even the thinking right, because it's all connected. It's all the same thing.
Yes.
So it's very helpful to me looking at the makeup.
I believe, and this may not be true, that you had a false nose for the role, which you gave a nickname to. Is this true?
Shirley.
Yeah. Shirley. Any particular reason why you would call a nose Shirley?
Sherlock.
Yeah.
Shirley.
Of course, yeah. Okay, absolutely. Was he prosthetics? Was it a tough experience? Was it a couple of hours or?
Oh no! That was another brilliant thing about Dave Elsey. He's quick. Yeah, 45 minutes. Mind you, we got Gandalf down to 45 minutes. But when I first put all that stuff on for Gandalf, wig, eyebrows, nose, moustache, beard, that used to take over 2 hours. Oh. It just meant you had to get up 2 hours earlier than otherwise. And but by the end, after 8 years, we got it down to 40 minutes.
Wow.
And you couldn't tell the difference, could you? It was all the same.
If they make any more, then it could be 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Don't.
Who knows? Should we take a look at a clip from the film?
Yeah.
The movie there's a lovely relationship in the film between Sherlock and young Roger, who's played by Milo Parker. I don't know if you want to talk about that relationship before we see.
Well, he is the son of Laura Linney. Laura Linney is my housekeeper looking after me. She's rather grumpy because I'm rather grumpy with her. And between us is this lad, bright, fan of Sherlock Holmes. And he sort of plays the junior Dr. Watson to my Sherlock and helps him through and urges him through. And with the innocence of youth, can't understand why Sherlock Holmes is succumbing to the difficulties of old age.
So let's take a look at a clip. So,
and I said, look, I'm delighted to be playing this part. I am having nothing to do with bees. And Bill Condon, the director, said, Ian, you have to, because you have to be able to, you don't see it there, open the hive, pull out the frame. I don't know, 10,000 bees on a frame, turn it round, no gloves. And that's what I ended up doing. I had good training. On top of the Fortnum & Masons, the posh grocers in the middle of London, there are bees kept. And you know where they feed, where they collect their nectar, almost exclusively from the flowers of Buckingham Palace. So if you really want some royal honey, that's the place to get it. And I learned how to be respectful to bees, and if you keep out of their way, frankly, they're not interested in you. And I'm full of admiration for them. Yes.
Wow. So no bees were harmed.
That did rather look like an afternoon program about bees. I probably should. There's a lot more to this movie than that.
There is some sleuthing in this film.
There's some
sleuthing.
Lots of sleuthing, yeah.
So,
and in fact, there was a good clue in that to the solving of the mystery, but I won't tell you what it was.
Spoiler alert.
Wasps. It's something to do with wasps.
And there goes the spoiler. But Sherlock says he was stung 7,618 times. Were you stung in the making of this movie?
Not once.
Wow.
There was not a human stung in the making of this movie, nor was there a bee hurt, as far as I know.
That's impressive, very impressive. And you mentioned the director Bill Condon, who you've worked with in the past on Gods and Monsters, which led, of course, to your first Oscar nomination. It's been a while. Were you trying?
Since I had an Oscar nomination.
No,
it certainly has.
Of course not. Since you worked with Bill?
Oh, I know. Well, it doesn't feel like that, because Bill and I became great friends on Gods and Monsters. That was a long time ago, wasn't it? But whenever he's in London, he comes and sees me, and I stay with him and his partner Jack in Los Angeles. Every time I went to New Zealand, I would always go through LA and catch up with Bill. And so it doesn't feel as if we've been out of touch, because we haven't. And I knew about this film, but I didn't know that I was a candidate to win it. And since he's given me another part, which I'm currently doing. I'm playing the clock, Cogsworth, in Beauty and the Beast, the Disney. So I'm now going to be a Disney. Be my guest, be my guest.
Well, that's going to be on the internet within a few
Beauty
minutes.
and the Beast.
Fantastic.
I feel so lucky to be allowed to do these things. It's like being in a pantomime or being on Coronation Street, the long-running soap.
So you do have a list of achievements that you're ticking off slowly but surely. Coronation Street, panto, singing, yes, I'll do.
Yeah, ice skating I've got to look forward to, and I haven't yet been in a musical on stage.
Okay.
I think that might be actually beyond me. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
A bit too hard on the lungs?
I can't sing.
I think you just proved you could.
As you did. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
But has that been something that's come naturally to you, singing on Beauty and the Beast? I know you've been doing these cast recordings.
Well, I don't have to do very much. I was singing with Ewan McGregor, who's playing the candlestick, and he has a lot to do. And Emma Thompson, who plays the teapot very convincingly. She has a beautiful voice.
Yes.
And Emma Watson, she can sing too. Dan Stevens, yeah, it's lovely. Audra McDonald, of course, the great
Yes.
6-time Tony Award-winning singer. She's in the cast.
Amazing.
It's fabulous.
You're having quite the time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's only 2 days of filming, actually. I can fit it in.
So Bill told you about this film a few years ago. Is that right?
No, I think I'd heard. He'd mentioned he might be doing something like it, and I hadn't read the book. But when the script arrived, I sort of whooped. I thought it would be fun, and it was. The idea of playing Sherlock Holmes is fun, but then it turned out to be a lot more than that, and I was surprised seeing it, how moving it was, and how true to life it was. I mean, somehow the authors have got inside the mind and the failing mind, really, of an old man, and you'll see. Sherlock Holmes gets better and better through the movie. He gets more and more someone you might like to spend time with. Initially, I wouldn't want to give Sherlock the time of day, but by the end, you can see that he's humane.
Yes.
He can relate to other people in the way that you never suspected.
Absolutely.
So it's one of those films that makes you feel a bit better.
Would you describe yourself as a Holmes nut before you took this movie on?
No, I wouldn't.
Did you read the novels?
No.
No.
But I can't remember. Well, can anybody here? Can you remember the first time you came across Sherlock Holmes? Haven't you always known about him?
Yeah.
Isn't that the feeling you've got? Yeah. Same with me. And where that came from, I'm not quite sure. I must have read some of the short stories when I was a kid, or heard it on the radio or something. So I've always had an image of Sherlock Holmes. That's why everybody thinks that he was real. I think tourists come to London hoping to bump into Sherlock Holmes. Well, they might bump into me, mightn't they?
And of course, you get to play two versions in a way of Sherlock Holmes.
I do, yes.
You get the 93-year-old and also a 63-year-old, something like that. So we've got a clip now where we actually meet the younger Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, yes.
In Baker Street. So let's take a look at that.
Yeah.
There you go. A brief glimpse.
Now, the spooky thing for me is that I'm, as the younger Holmes, wearing an awful lot of makeup to make me look 60. Oh dear, oh dear. Anyway, I mean, there's stuff stuck on me, and it's given me rather high cheekbones, and I'm a dead ringer for
Michael Fassbender.
John Gielgud, who was one of the heroes of my youth, actor, great actor, who played Sherlock Holmes, actually, on radio. I did an awful lot of them. And so it's a bit spooky to see John Gielgud come to life. But it's a nice idea, isn't it, that they never lived at 221 Baker Street. They actually lived opposite 221 Baker Street and watched all the tourists trying to catch glimpse of them. And doesn't that, I mean, that is London. That really is London. That's people in costume, carriages going along, but those streets actually exist in London. It is amazing after all these years.
It's amazing. So have you taken the Sherlock Holmes tour? Have you done anything like that? Have you gone to the museum?
I have not, no.
Do you have any in plans to?
No, I
don't. So you've immersed yourself fully in the world of Holmes?
He's probably in Madame Tussauds, isn't he?
I imagine he would be.
I wonder which Sherlock Holmes they put in there. Well, the sort of generic. Yeah. In our version, he never wore a deerstalker. Nor did he in the Conan Doyle stories. That it's never mentioned. Deer Stalker. That was probably an invention of William Gillette, who was the first actor, an American, who played Holmes on stage.
Shall we have some questions from the audience?
Oh yeah,
Let's do that.
Please.
A hand has gone up already, right here in the second row. We have a roving microphone, I believe. It'll make its way to you. You just pass it along. Thank you.
What's all that noise? Is that people buying computers and stuff?
That's exactly it. You'd think they'd be quiet for a second, but no.
You would, wouldn't you? Who's waving back there?
Just hello.
Is it somebody I know, or just well, hello?
Just someone
hello.
waving.
Now that you've been able to play Sherlock and have understood the mind of Sherlock, do you think there are any parallels between Sherlock and yourself in real life?
Oh, I hope not. I mean, he's a bit of a sociopath. He doesn't really get on with people. He thinks of them as, although he knows a lot about people because he observes them so well, and can work out where they've been and what they want and so on and so on and so on. That's not really relating to people. That's not really. He talks at people, doesn't he, rather than with them. And it's not. That's one of the points of this sweet story, is that if he'd only had the intuition of somebody who liked other people, could imagine himself to be in their situation, as opposed to always being on the outside observing, he would have enjoyed his life more than he did. And maybe even been a better detective. And maybe continued after the age at which he retired. So that, I suppose, if this has got a moral, that's what it is. And you know, I know as an actor I do observe people, and that is fun. But I hope I'm a little bit more sympathetic to other people than he is.
Thank you. Any other questions? Young lady over here in the second row.
Hello.
Hello.
Happy birthday for yesterday.
Thank you.
I have 2 questions for you. My first one is, well, I told my tutor that I'd be here with you today, and he didn't really believe me. And so he said that if I bagged an interview with you, he would make me the lead, or he would consider making me the lead in a performance we're going to do. So my first question is, Sir Ian, would you do me the honor of like doing an interview with me?
I think there are probably channels for interviews. She wants an interview with you
Oh, I see.
at some point.
Well, aren't you you're interviewing me now?
This is it.
And,
It's kind
and if you do, you'll get the part.
Yes.
Can you trust this person? You tell him from me that I think you should get the part. How about that? Will that do? All right.
And this will be on the internet, so people can see it.
Yeah,
There's
big,
proof.
big.
Proof.
Yeah. Oh, you can't have a second because there are more people.
Do you want to choose someone?
Yes. Well,
Okay, there's a lady-
over there.
lady here right behind.
Hi. First of all, it's an honor, sir. It's quite,
Thank you.
I'm psyched. I can't even put it into words. But I did some reading before coming here, and I found quite a few sites that mentioned that it is suspected that Sherlock Holmes suffered from Asperger's disease. No, it's not disease. Syndrome. Sorry,
Asperger's.
syndrome. Was that something that came up, and was that maybe something difficult for you to get your mind into, considering that you're known to be quite the most loveliest social person? So.
Well, Asperger's it may be, I don't know. The thing is, you probably all the information you need to know as an actor will be in the script. And you can talk about it and so on, and you can put labels on what's the matter with him, or explanations to how he behaves, but it doesn't actually make it any easier if you can put a label on it. It's the behavior itself which you want to examine. But it can sort of be comforting that the syndrome is recognized. But as an actor, no, it's what does he do? And why does he do it? And probably I'll end up knowing more about Asperger's than someone who's written a big treatise on it. Don't know.
Should we have
Interesting
a
question, though.
Someone over
Thank
here.
you.
There's a lady in the back row, in the same row actually. If you just keep your hand up, please, and then we can get the microphone to you. Yeah, if you just pass it along, that'd be great. Oh, sorry, we'll come back to you. I didn't see it. Sorry.
Happy birthday for yesterday.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
How did you celebrate? Could you celebrate by signing my Hobbit book? It's been it's been signed by Christopher Tolkien, and I'd absolutely love it if you could sign it too. I'm a huge fan.
Well, I'm sure we can organise that later on. How did I celebrate my birthday? Well, in many, many ways. I don't normally celebrate birthdays, but my diary happened to be sort of clear, so that there was things I could do. And a group of my friends clubbed together to buy me a chef for the day. And I quite enjoy cooking, but there are only about 3 things I could cook. And I had said it one day it'd be nice if I could learn some new dishes. And so Simon Rimmer, who's a television chef, came with 2 home economists, washer-uppers, with all the food not prepared. I had to do the preparing with him. He showed me how. And over 4 or 5 hours, we cooked 3 dishes, and I had 3 lunches that day. So that was a wonderful present. And then I went to visit a school and talked about gay issues. That was another nice thing to do. And then I went to see Julian Clary, wonderful British comedian, on the stage here. And then I went away for the weekend. And that's when I had the cake with 76 candles. So, and here I am, still celebrating, I suppose. I'll sign your book later. Yeah.
Thank you for today. I was just wondering, you played 2 very big roles that came from books, Gandalf and now Sherlock. And Sherlock specifically has been played and played and played again and again and again. So my question is, how do you make a character like this your own? I guess it goes for Gandalf as well, because now for our generation you're the face of Gandalf, but for people who only had a book, maybe there was differences there. So basically, how do you make a very famous character your own character?
Well, it is a problem that you face if you do classic plays, as I've done. When you play Hamlet, you're not the first person to play Hamlet. There have been hundreds of people before you. You take comfort from the fact that some of them were really good, so it's a part worth playing. But then, same with Macbeth or Richard III, which I've done on stage and screen, or King Lear. These are parts, they're classic parts because so many actors have played them over the centuries. It's not quite the same with this film. No one's ever played this script before because it's a new script. It's an old character, but a new version of him. So I didn't really have to worry, and I didn't feel I was in competition with anybody. Gandalf, it's an interesting thing about Gandalf. Many people say, you are exactly as I'd always imagined Gandalf to be. And I thank them, but I know, because I've read the books, that I'm not exactly as Tolkien describes. I mean, Tolkien describes that he has very long black boots. I never wore black boots. I kept asking for them, actually. I never got them. Gandalf has got eyebrows which are so long they go out beyond the brim of his hat. But you couldn't do that. No one would believe it. But my point is, what these people have imagined was Gandalf was not from reading the book, but looking at the pictures in the book. Because they were by Alan Lee and John Howe. And those were the 2 co-designers of the look of Middle-earth in the film. So actually what I looked like was not Tolkien's Gandalf, but theirs.
And of course you've been in the interesting position of having originated Magneto on the screen and then also seeing someone else play Magneto.
Oh, it's a daily... It's distressing. I can hardly say the words. Michael... No, I can't say it. Well, isn't he lucky? Yeah. I do all the spade work. Yeah. I get the character popular. I get him, everybody knowing. And in walks this Michael Fassbender, who's made 3 movies this year. He doesn't need to play Magneto. Come on, give an old man a chance. No, I think it's all over. They've moved on.
You think?
Yeah.
Michael's playing Magneto right now. It's filming in Montreal with Bryan Singer.
Don't rub it in.
I'm just saying. Have you had a phone call? Has anyone
Not
said?
a phone call. No. Faithless. I wish him well.
Absolutely. We've got time for a couple last questions. There's a gentleman here with a beard, lovely beard, in the back row.
Hello, Sir Ian.
Hello.
I was going to ask you what you did for your birthday, but...
You know now.
Yeah. I was wondering, what's your favourite role you've ever played? And I was wondering if you could sign my book, please.
I'll sign your book. Favourite role? Do you know, I've played something like 300 parts on stage and on screen, and there are only 2 jobs that I regret, and I'm not going to talk about them because I regret them, but everything else I've enjoyed doing. So to pick a favourite, it's very difficult. But of huge significance to me was doing Macbeth with Judi Dench in a production you can still see. It's available on DVD, and it's a wonderful way to present Shakespeare. There's no scenery, it's just the words and the actors' faces. And then another Shakespeare, Richard III, which was crucial for me because I produced it and co-produced it and wrote the screenplay from Shakespeare's play. And it was that film, I think, which gave directors some confidence that I might be able to act in front of a camera. And then another film would be Gods and Monsters, which was Bill Condon's film, for which he won the Oscar for the screenplay. And that was very close to my heart, its subject matter, but also, again, made me more confident of acting in front of a camera. And then the rest has been, as I say, wonderful. I would have been really disappointed to have missed playing Gandalf. I love it. But he did go on a bit. I mean, it was 8 or 9 years, you know. And I thought, sometimes I had to say, Gandhi, look, I've got this young actor, Michael Fassbender, and,
Give it 15 years. There's a lot of hands. You okay for a couple more?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, fantastic. There's a lady here with blonde hair who's waving her hand in the crowd of people. If you keep waving your hand, the microphone will make its way to you. Yeah. There's a fake hand waver there, but there's a... Yes, please.
Hi. My question is, the theme of this film is kind of around revisiting unfinished business.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if you had any roles or characters that you've played that you'd like, that you feel that you have unfinished business with and you'd like to revisit.
Excellent. Yes, I do. King Lear. Now, King Lear is a wonderful play, and it's a wonderful part, and Shakespeare poured his soul into this portrait of an old man in extremis and going mad, literally, and sort of recovering from it. And it's an amazing journey that the actor has to go on. And I felt I didn't quite go on all the journey, and I'd like to do it again. But that said, oh, it's like saying, I didn't quite get to the top of Everest, let's have another go. Because it's a really hard slog up there, so I may never get round to it.
Have you thought about maybe a movie? Would King Lear work as a movie?
Well, there's movies that I would like to revisit. Wasn't that the question?
Roles, yeah. But King Lear as a film, do you think that would work? Is that
well, we did it. We did it as a video, and I think some of it is terribly good. Yeah, it's a good interpretation. It's a good version of it. It's. I just think it could be a little bit deeper from my point of view.
Okay. Any other questions? Wow, there's lots of people here. Let's go to the front row here. There's 2 people here in the front row. Have you got a microphone?
Hiya. Kind of following on with the theme of characters, you've played, as you said, so many characters. If you had just the pick of any character in the world to play, is there a specific one that you would go for, or...?
No, there's no point in saying, I want to play Napoleon, or I want to play King Canute. It's the script, isn't it? you could have a wretched script about Napoleon, there'd be absolutely no point in playing it. So, and even if you've got a wonderful script, who's directing it is what I'd want to know, and who else is going to be in it, and have we got enough time to do it? There are all these considerations. So the idea of having a character who one day I'm going to turn into a movie or a play, even as I'm saying this, I realise there is somebody I would like to play. And you may not, people in the UK may know who L.S. Lowry is. He's one of the most popular painters in this country, dead now. But he came from my part of the world in the north of England, and I think he's a very interesting character. But again, it would have to be a wonderful play or screenplay. And actually, I have played him in a documentary we made about Lowry, and so I've sort of done that. But no, avoid wishing specifics and make sure the script is everything.
We've got time for one last question before you all rush home and write your L.S. Lowry biopics. There's a gentleman here who's very immaculate. Oh, there's a lady here in the front row, and then we'll go to you. So the 2 last questions. So, yes, please.
No, she just asked a question.
Oh, it's this lady here.
Hi. I was just wondering, other than King Lear, is there any other Shakespeare that you'd like to do that you haven't attempted yet?
I've missed a few parts in Shakespeare, like Benedick. You never see a bad Benedick in Much Ado About Nothing because it's such a fantastic part. Some parts I'm not going to play, like Falstaff. I just don't like the part. And there is one part I would like to play. 2 parts I'd like to play. One is Shakespeare's only openly gay character, which is Antonio, and he is the merchant of Venice. And the first line of that play is spoken by Antonio, who says, "In sooth, I know not why I am so sad." Well, if you observe the story of the play properly, you soon find out why he's sad, because his boyfriend has just told him that he's going to woo a girl, and would Antonio mind lending him the money to do it? No wonder he's sad. I've been banging on for years about the importance of playing this character as gay, and I've occasionally seen it done. And I wrote a screenplay to help encourage this idea. I turned down playing Antonio in the Al Pacino movie because the director wouldn't go along with this version. I read in today's newspaper that the Royal Shakespeare Company have at last done a production of Merchant of Venice in which the name part, Antonio, is played as a gay man, and the whole play suddenly makes sense. You thought it was all supposed to be anti-Semitic. That play is about people who are anti-Semitic and homophobic and anti-black. It's a fantastic cry for human rights, and at last the play's come into its own. So that's one part. The other part is Mercutio in Romeo and Juliet, who is an unmarried friend of Romeo's, who's always being rude about women and young men who get involved with women, and has a filthy tongue to him, and is always surrounded by young men, and I thought that was an ideal part for me. And I've mentioned it to directors who are going to do the play. They say, "Ian, you're out of your mind." But someday, you mark my words, someday somebody of my age will play Mercutio, and you'll know that I had the idea first.
We have time for one last question from this gentleman here. Thank you.
Evening, sir.
Hello.
Nice scarf. In the filming of Mr. Holmes, were there any hardships or obstacles you had to overcome or get over?
It was one of those films in which everything went absolutely according to plan. It was a short shoot, and that is fun. To do a film quickly is nerve-wracking but exciting in a good way. And we were able to do that because the sun was permanently out. It was a lovely summer last year in the UK, and so that was... Every day we got up and the sun was out. And every day you went out to work and there was Laura Linney and Bill Condon. And my friends, Roger Allam, Francis Barber, Frankie de la Tour. David Fox. Every day was like a holiday, really, and so no, even the bees were friendly.
Even the prosthetics were okay. Even the
The
nose was
prosthetics,
fine.
but this beautiful garden we were filming in on the south coast, the sun's out, and the art department had decided there weren't quite enough flowers. So the white roses down one of the little alleyways were plastic. They look real. So real that one day I was there and one of the bees had come from our hive. I thought, ooh. And it went and landed in this plastic white flower. And I saw it say to itself, what the fuck's And then it went to the next one, and then did I suppose I went back to the hive and said, I don't know, something odd's going on out there. But no, we had a trouble-free shoot.
Amazing.
It was lovely. It's a lovely film, and I think you could sort of tell when you see it. This film, not true of all films, made with a lot of love and a lot of respect, not just for the subject matter, but for each other. And I hope you enjoy it when you see it.
On that bee-related bombshell, that is all the time we have, my friend. Thank you so much for coming. Thanks for your questions. It comes out June 19th. Please give it up, Ian McKellen.
Thank you.